Hi guys, so I just got back from seeing The Woman in the Yard, which is the newest horror film from Blumhouse. And this film follows a grieving woman and her two kids that are living in a farmhouse, and then a woman appears out in their yard, pretty much delivering them some unsettling messages, pretty much. This is a movie that when I actually first saw the trailers to, I was actually kind of excited. I thought it looked pretty good. I was pretty interested in checking this out. Blumhouse, I love the older Blumhouse movies, Sinister and stuff like that. Those are great. But lately, Blumhouse, especially last year, Blumhouse just put out some real garbage movies. Their previous two films, Speak No Evil and Wolfman, those were okay, but Imaginary Night Swim Afraid, ugh. But I went in pretty optimistic with this film and hoping for the best, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll say that I thoroughly enjoyed this film overall. However, there are definitely a couple issues that I do need to address. But what I liked about it, I feel like all the actors did a really good job in the movie. Even the two kids, they did a good job. Main, uh, the main girl did a excellent job playing her character, and the girl who played the woman also did an excellent job. And Something that I liked about this film that I honestly didn't really expect from it is that it leaned more into the psychological horror rather than being just like a generic horror. Because while the trailers look cool, it did seem fairly generic, but having a bit more style to it. But this does go for a more psychological horror for the most part. Now, that leads into one of my issues that there are definitely moments in the film that do feel pretty generic, standard fare, and it kind of can feel like an emotional roller coaster because there's actually some also really cool visuals in this movie as well. So, it could feel like an emotional roller coaster at times where you are like for me I was like intrigued and I was really enjoying all the psychological stuff. But when they went to some of the generic stuff, it kind of like pushed me back a little bit. But I mean, I was still there. But however, so I mean, the horror aspects in the movie, I feel like they worked, but they did have some flaws. I feel like they should have tried to stick with the psychological stuff the entire time, but this is a PG-13 rated movie, and you do kind of still have to cater to that demographic if your movie's going to be rated that. But nonetheless, I do appreciate them taking the swing at it. Now, my biggest issues with the movie, well, my biggest something that is a mix for me is the overall reveal of what the woman in the yard symbolizes, which I can't talk about here, obviously. It's spoilers. And for me, it's something that I honestly personally could relate to in a sense, not entirely as the film is not entirely in the way the film is displaying it, because the film does display it in a very bleak way. Not entirely, but in a way I could personally relate to it. And I could heavily see people being super turned off by what it is. For me, I enjoyed it because I could relate to it in a way. Like I said, not completely, obviously, but in a way I could. But I could definitely see people finding it to be distasteful and even despicable as well. So there's one thing. But I think my biggest negative is pretty much the final ending, which I would love to be able to talk about it here, but I'm a spoiler free channel, so I can't do that. But without going into it, the ending of the movie, like the final shot of the movie, made zero sense. And I'm someone who I love ambiguity in my movies. I love it when movies end and they just leave it up to your interpretation. But the thing that doesn't work with that, and I mean, I appreciate them for going for the swing of trying to have a ambiguous ending here. Um, but the thing that doesn't really make it work overall as an ending is because if you were to watch the movie, the scene before the final shot completely contradicts that whole final shot. So it almost feels like they were going to originally end the movie on the scene before the final shot of the movie, but they were like, we need to add some ambiguous stuff in here because we leaned a little bit into the psychological stuff. It kind of feels like that. And I mean, I applaud them for taking a swing with it and trying to make the best they can with it. And who knows, this is a film I do want to watch again, so maybe I'll be able to come up with stuff on my with my own interpretation. And if that ever happens in the future, I will leave it in a pinned comment saying that I did fix that issue. But as of right now, there's just that is an issue. And I mean, a lot of a, a lot of my favorite horror films have very ambiguous endings. And but the thing that makes those work is that those movies are just very strange and weird completely throughout. This film is very simple with some psychological stuff, but the the end and the scene before the final shot just contradicts the entire last shot. So yeah, but overall, I did thoroughly enjoy the film, and I would say it's a recommendation. But however, it would be kind of hard to recommend it because I feel like there's going to be some people that are going to really enjoy this and people that are not going to like this at all. But I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I feel like there is hope for Blumhouse. So that's my review on The Woman in the Yard. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it in the comments. And as always, subscribe to me to see more horror and thriller reviews.